in light of that, what we do always want to make sure that we do is not just honor those who have passed, but we also want to make sure that we give people their flowers while they're still around to smell them. So with that, I would like to first introduce Ms. Thea Young up to the stage to share some words to honor our founder of the Black and White Reunion and creator of the Racial Justice Summit, Tim Stevens. So please give Ms. Thea a hand.
Thank you. Tim Stevens is a native son of Pittsburgh's Hill District and lifelong activist for racial and social justice. When he was president of the Pittsburgh NAACP, he founded the Black and White Reunion as a result of the murder of Johnny Gamage, an African-American motorist, at the hands of officers from several suburban Pittsburgh police departments in October 1995. He stated that his intent was to bring together area Black and white residents to work nonviolently for justice for Johnny Gamage, in particular, in the Pittsburgh area in general. According to the Pittsburgh Racial Justice website, he saw it as a way to bring light, not heat, to the racial divide in the city. He and a racially mixed group of residents started the Summit Against Racism as a multicultural initiative. It was later renamed the Pittsburgh Racial Justice Summit. Tim called to work for justice across divisions, his insistence that the summit focus on action-oriented results that push toward greater racial equity, as well as its humor, have inspired numerous planning committee members, volunteers, and workshop presenters for 28 years. In recognition of his work, the Black and White Reunion Planning Committee is honoring him today.
Thank you, Doris. You want to get back on the mic?
Okay, so this plaque says Pittsburgh Racial Justice Summit, a multicultural initiative of the Black and White Reunion, presents this award to Tim Stevens for your visionary leadership and lifelong commitment to community empowerment through the Pittsburgh Racial Justice Summit, February 21st, 2026.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Very nice. I didn't know they were going to do this till they told me a few weeks ago, and I never thought about getting an award here, but I'll take it. Thank you, Doris.
You're welcome.
And we want to give a shout out to our planning committee for this honor. Absolutely, I appreciate it very much. I have been asked to bring the opening remarks. I don't want to mess up the computer here. How's everybody doing though? We all right? Okay. Thanks for being here, and thanks for being here early enough so that us in the early program won't be talking to empty seats, because that's not very exciting. But as founder of the Black and White Reunion during my first year as president of the NAACP Pittsburgh branch, it remains an honor for me to welcome each of you to this, our 28th annual Racial Justice Summit. How about that, 28th annual? Our theme for this year's conference is absolutely appropriate for all that is going on across the nation. Building community for lasting democracy and racial equity. And we say that together. Building community for lasting democracy and racial equity. And do we have a lot to do or what? Jesus. I certainly wish to thank our host, CCAC President, Dr. Quentin Bullock. And Jacoya, thank you for lifting us up. What a voice. Dr. Quentin Bullock and his fine staff, and our very committed and long-enduring Black and White Reunion Racial Justice Planning Committee members for the months they put into planning our 28th summit. And Bernaza Young for facilitating the numerous planning sessions. We are certainly grateful to our many workshop facilitators led by the great Kevin Jarbo, who you just saw, one of our young leaders, our donors and the Pittsburgh Jazz Society or Jazz Channel, WZUM as our media sponsor. We thank those of you who will be tabling today and providing valuable information to those persons seeking opportunities to serve our community. With all the news locally and nationally about the challenges facing immigrants coming to this country and how they and the Hispanic community are being treated by some of those federal agents paid to, quote unquote, protect and serve people in this country, we are honored to have Fernanda Ruiz, the niece of the great Monica Ruiz, who at this moment is in the hospital, waiting for the birth of her grandchild. So can we forgive her for that? As you know, all of you know who's been active in this city, Monica has certainly been a strong advocate and champion for those being oppressed by this national administration. We also thank each of you for being present with us today to help move our various causes forward in our local communities and beyond. Many of you are aware that the hope of the Planning Council each year is that every one of you will be challenged by something you hear within the workshops being provided to you today, and more importantly, that you will act. Can we say act? We host the summits early in the year to give area activists an opportunity to jumpstart. Can we say jumpstart? Their commitments to action as they begin a new year. We want each of you under the sound of my voice to take that charge to heart and take it very seriously. Our local champion of passionate, committed action, at one time was a member, as was mentioned earlier, of our Racial Justice Planning Committee, was Khalid Rahim, whose funeral and burial I attended this past Tuesday, along with BPAP Planning Council member and Racial Justice Planning Committee member Will Anderson. The Black and White Reunion was birthed out of the death of 31-year-old Black businessman Johnny E. Gammage, that's Jonny, who was killed on October 12, 1995, at the hands of suburban white officers. It was Khalid Rahim who organized a protest or two in Brentwood, while I organized marches in downtown Pittsburgh. Khalid was truly one of the early on-the-ground organizers for anti-violence work in Pittsburgh, helping to bring about ceasefires between feuding gangs in our communities, and remained a strong advocate for peace and justice, particularly for Black people until his death. It would be great if this summit, produces more Khalid Rahims going forward, fighters who never quit, warriors for justice and equality. Each one of you in this room have that opportunity to have a lifetime commitment to activism with a strong orientation to not accept the status quo. Ironically, on the same day that Khalid Rahim was buried was also the day, February 17, 2026, that our nation lost a true national icon, a giant in the ongoing fight for civil, human, and political rights over the past several decades. That hero of mine, and for many of you here today, was the Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson Sr. As BPAP Vice Chair Dalen A. Davis, come on now, give it up for Jesse. That hero of mine, and for many of you today, was Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson. As BPEP's Vice Chair Dalen A. Davis wrote, Jesse Jackson was more than a leader of a movement. At a defining moment in American history, he was the embodiment of hope for an entire generation. His voice carried the aspirations of those long excluded from the promise of democracy. And his work helped reshape the political and moral landscape of this country. Reverend Jackson challenged America to confront its conscience. Through the Rainbow Coalition and his historic presidential campaigns, he expanded the electorate, empowered marginalized communities, and insisted that the American dream must belong to all. He did not simply speak of justice, he organized for it, mobilized for it, and demanded it. He lived long enough to witness what many once thought impossible, the election of President Barack Hussein Obama, this nation's first black president. For Reverend Jackson and for so many others who in many cases for decades marched, organized, and sacrificed that Obama's historic moment could happen. His election represented a tangible realization of the dream, and I'm sure the dream of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This accomplishment was indeed a testament to decades of struggle and perseverance. That moment affirmed that the barriers that Reverend Jackson fought to dismantle could, in fact, fall. Yet Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson understood that progress is neither permanent nor guaranteed. And have we found that out this year? In today's charged political climate, as we confront the deep divisions within this country, the rising intolerance and what many view as a quite troubling erosion of moral leadership from this White House, his legacy calls us to renewed vigilance. Can we say vigilance? Reverend Jackson taught us that democracy requires active stewardship. And may I repeat that, active stewardship, moral courage, and an unwavering commitment to truth and equality, especially in times when those values feel under strain and under seemingly daily attacks. Reverend Jackson believed that hope was not passive, it was an action. Many of us remember that Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson taught us to keep hope alive. Can we repeat as a tribute in his memory? Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. He also preached to young black children and teens across America that they were indeed somebody. I like to have everyone in the room say out of your own mouths and say it with power, I am somebody. I am somebody. Why is this important to say and think? Because some of us from childhood have had negative messages beaten into our psyches that we were nobody, that we were worthless. And that reality is not only for black people. Am I right? Reverend Jackson's life reminds us that leadership must be rooted in principle, compassion, and accountability. As we mourn his passing, we also inherit his charge to continue the work and to assist that this nation lives up to its highest creeds and ideals. It seems in recent years, particularly this past year, that something has changed. It seems that far too many people in this city, in this commonwealth, in this nation now feel a freedom, not the freedom we talk about, but a freedom indeed, a sense of liberation to say and to do whatever racial and hate-filled act they wish to do against black, brown, Latino, Jewish, and the LGBTQ plus communities. I don't know about you, but I view this situation as unacceptable. Unacceptable. Do you? The pictures we continue to see on our televisions night after night of federal agents treating their fellow Americans and treating people who have come to the United States of America to seek asylum and to find a new and better life. In too many instances lately, find and experience similar to acts of hatred and violence aimed at them in this country. In this past year, our nation has been torn apart by those who seek to separate us by race, by ethnicity, by religion, by sexual orientation, and by class. It is almost impossible to watch national television, but for so long because one has to switch to watch a much lighter form of entertainment. The continued negative pictures of this current America form an attack on our collective mental health. Am I right? What many of us are facing is an America that much too often reflects the ills of the 50s and 60s, while many of us had the nerve to believe in recent years and decades that many of these historic ills were at least beginning to be addressed, if not in some cases fully addressed. What I have been seeing far too often on my television screens is not the United States of America that I was taught we were seeking to be as a nation, as a young black student attending Robert Lee Vann Elementary School and Heron Hill Junior High School in my historic Hill District. I did not expect to see a time when U.S. citizens and those attempting to become U.S. citizens of this country would be pulled out of their cars for no apparent reason, would have their homes invaded without warrants, and in some instances shot dead on the streets of this nation by those supposedly protecting this nation from seriously exaggerated threats. To have parents of brown children feeling the need to keep their children home from school because of fear of their children being arrested in front of the school or at the bus stop. We as a nation are backtracking. Can we say backtracking? On what was described as, quote, a land of opportunity. A land of equality where race, gender, creed, and religion would only be terms that would help describe us as individuals, but would not be descriptions that would indeed severely limit our abilities and opportunities to succeed. We're certainly not the nation that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King described as a nation of individuals who would be judged by the content of their character. Unfortunately, folks, we are far from that wonderful picture of America that I was told as a child what this country stood for. Indeed, the pictures we are seeing and experiencing on a seemingly daily and nightly basis have become U.S. nightmares. We cannot accept this frightful picture of America. We must cry out. We must resist. We must restore our power, and regardless of our individual political leanings and orientations, we must vote our interests. We must remember to take this week of Black History Month to emulate the passion of our local champion, Khalid Rahim, and for those of us inspired by the life and leadership displayed by the Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson, to honor their lives not only with remembrances, but with resolve and sustained commitment, and by voting in each and every election. We must remember to act. We must remain vigilant and strong. We must remember to restore the power. The midterms are coming. Repeat it. We must remember to restore the power. The midterms are coming. We must remember to restore the power. The midterms are coming. Now let's all get to work. The nation awaits our activism and our results. Thank you very much. Restore the power. The midterms are coming.
Love you, man. Thank you for your work.
Appreciate it. All right.
Y'all will have many more opportunities to clap for Tim Stevens. I mean, oh, yeah. One moment. Thank you, Will. So, who needs coffee when you got Tim Stevens in the morning? That woke me all the way up.